I went to Ireland. Here's how it went.
So we're going to, I think it's about 1.2 miles long, this section. Those gates all closed with gate. So you can see even the people who died during the Troubles in the political party.
Now there is so much for me to unpack in this video, so I'm going to basically try and explain just about everything that I did on this trip and why I went on this trip. Now, first off, I want to talk to you and detail really why I wanted to go, and I'm not going to rat out my family members for this, but there are many people in my family on my father's side that haven't been to Ireland, and if you haven't noticed by now, I have a very strong Irish surname that is not very common in Wales, where I'm from, and that is Donegan. Excuse me. And that comes from the word, that comes from the surname, well, there's different variations of it, but I think it comes from the word O'Donegan, and from, I believe, this is a bit of a guess, but it's not a guess. This is what it means, but I'm guessing this was from Old Gaeilge, Old Irish Gaelic, and it actually means brown-haired chieftain. So I wonder how I'm doing on that. So, but yeah, brown-haired chieftain. But it's a very strong Irish name, not very common in Wales where I'm from. Now, first off, I got to say the trip I went on a coach trip, and I thought it would have been best for me to go there because I would have been with a group. I would have had all my excursions taken care of. I would have had everything sorted out. So I decided to go with a coach trip, and I don't regret it. It was a really good experience. Managed to meet some great people, and it turns out there was a couple sitting on the coach in front of me, and I knew their family, and they got to know me pretty well, but we had mutual friends and family. So it's a small world. I'm just going to look at my phone, and I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go with what is on my phone and the order in which I took these photos. So first off, the ferry was an interesting thing to experience. It was 4 hours from Pembroke to Rosslare, and it's quite surprising how long that is. Like, even though it's like really not that far from Wales to Ireland, in that stretch of in that stretch of water on the between the Irish Sea and I guess in the St George's Sea, I think it is, or St George's Channel, I believe it to be. So we basically had an overnight stay in a hotel where I tried to split the G on a Guinness and I failed miserably. And then that was in a town called Arklow, which was near Wicklow, which is not far from Dublin. So that next morning then, we made our way up to Belfast. And basically the first day we were just taking in our surroundings. Beautiful architecture. Really, it was a day where we were able just to, we had free time and we were just scanning around the city and just looking at different things. And here was the second part of our first day, and we went to the Titanic Museum. Now, prior to this, I had not really looked too much into what happened. Obviously, I know what the Titanic is, like what happened and why it happened. And I had a very interesting conversation with a gentleman who was working there. And I asked him something very particular, and it really sparked his enthusiasm when I was talking to him. He even gave me his email address to talk to him about it, which was pretty nice. But yeah, I asked him, about the binoculars, why they were in a box. I didn't really understand that. For example, so right at the precipice of the situation, where it was the perfect temperature for the icebergs to melt and to form in the water. And you know the saying goes, the tip of the iceberg. We only see the tip of the iceberg. We don't really see like the how big and how thick the ice is underneath it. And so the point is how strong these icebergs were. And I'm guessing the captain, when he saw this iceberg, only had a minute to decide what to do. So I don't know if he basically could have either way took a sharp right or a sharp left. Correct me in the comments which way he went. It doesn't matter which way he went, because the same thing would have happened. Basically, as the story goes, what I heard anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, on the Titanic. I'm not a Titanic buff, so but yeah, so the Titanic basically scraped the edge of this massive iceberg and basically created loads of little holes across the ship, and that's all they needed to do. And that was it. That was all she wrote, and it sank and killed thousands of people. There were survivors, and as we went through this museum, it did detail how many people did survive, and I believe it was mostly. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but all the information is online, and there was so many photos on my phone, and some really good visual things as well. Especially at the final part of this museum, you could actually see like how it does look when it was shipwrecked, and also outside the museum you could actually see an outline of how big it was. So I thought that was interesting as well. So, and then that night then, I went with this wonderful local couple that I began to get to know, and obviously we knew each other anyway, knew each other's family. We went to this bar called Kelly Cellars, and it was over 300 years old, and there was some cracking music in there, really oldie worldly Irish pub, like you can't beat it. Now, this was the second day. We were still in Belfast, so it was our second day in Belfast, and this was the real meat and potatoes of it. So basically, I'm going to interrupt myself with a few clips of a gentleman, which was our tour guide, talking about the Troubles. Now, this was the meat and potatoes for me. This is the biggest reason why I went on this trip, to see the Peace Wall of Northern Ireland. Now, the Peace Wall is a segregated part of Northern Ireland between two roads, the Falls Road and the Shankill Road. Now, the Falls Road is the Catholic side, the Shankill Road is the Protestant side. Basically, when the Troubles happened in that 30-year period, I don't know exact dates, but it went on for 30 years and it ended sometime in the 1990s, and especially when Bill Clinton, the President of the United States, got involved at the time as well. So, so the Peace Wall is a segregated part of Northern Ireland where both sides were throwing petrol bombs at each other, murdering each other, and it was a very dark past. There's a dark history behind this Peace Wall, but it's now being used as basically like an art piece. People can. I was able to write a message on there, pray for unity from Wales. And so I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm just going to put some clips in of the gentleman speaking.
Things crossing, and they will close at night. Now, people could go from one side to the other. You can't go at night time. You can't go sort of east-west, but you could go into the city centre and come out the other side. But there really wouldn't be much desire from either side at night time to travel. Why would you come over? Maybe you'd come over to socialise or go to a pub. You wouldn't be going to pubs on either side of the street. It's really, really weird, because on the far side, the nationalists are mainly Catholics. On this side, they're mainly Protestants. On that side, they play Gaelic football and hurling. On this side, they play soccer, rugby, and cricket. Okay, so the kids the kids all got sent to Catholic schools, and they play those Irish traditional games. On this side, they go to state schools and they play soccer and rugby and cricket. So the kids don't go to the same schools, they don't play the same sports, and the gates are closed for 12 hours anyway, so they wouldn't want to go across. Another bizarre thing is that you, on the national side, they would tend to give their kids Irish names, Gaelic names, Aoife, Sinead, Siobhan, Saoirse, all those sort of names, Siobhan, things like that. On this side, they'll all be called George, Victoria, William, Henry, Harry, all those sort of, not all of them, but lots of them. And if you went from that side to this side and you go into a bar, people in this area would, being suspicious of the other side is something that seems to be in our DNA. So the first things you might be asked, say you're over there on your own and somebody might come up and chat to you and say, how you doing, what's your name? And if, your name might give it away, what side you were from. And if your name was sort of generic and you don't know, then they might say, well, and what school did you go to? Because all the Catholic schools are all called St. Peter's and St. Mary's, whatever, So you can tell the difference. But the walls were due to come down. This is only one of the walls. The walls were due to be removed 25 years after the Good Friday Agreement, and that would have been in 2023. But at the end of the 2023, there was a survey done of the locals, and they want to keep the walls because they feel safer in their beds at night. They don't no worries about missiles or anything coming across. So, but there's been various, that lots of celebrities and people come here who want to know about the walls and the troubles. And who's been here? The Dalai Lama's been here. Bill Clinton's obviously been here. Justin Bieber has been here, but he didn't make any difference either. And Rihanna, do you know Rihanna, the singer? A few years ago she had a song called I Found Love in a Hopeless Place, and the video was filmed here at the Peace Wall. Some of the video filmed here, the rest of it was filmed across Northern Ireland. So they've all had a good go at it, but we still have the walls, and it's probably, in truth, this is part of the problem. With the segregation. Now the kids people will mix. Might work together, might go to university together. They would mix in the town. They would mix outside these areas. They wouldn't really want to do it inside. That's part of.
We were able to see a few murals, but we didn't really get that much time to see the murals I really wanted. I'll probably put some on the screen now, some really really historic murals. But nonetheless, it was a good. It was interesting. So obviously pretty sad as well. But it was. I did make a short on this topic, and it's quite nuanced. It's quite complicated. And it's quite sad to realise that the island of Ireland may never be united ever again. And as I said in my short that I posted yesterday, he had an interesting perspective, and this is what he said right by the Peace Wall.
There's no criteria set.
Yeah.
It has to be a referendum on both sides of the border. And some people in the south have to vote or to accept.
Yeah. So do you reckon it's mainly a religious one, or obviously a political too?
It's about your loyalty to being British or Irish. It's nothing to do with religion. The reason it appears to be a religious conflict is because of the plantation of Ulster. Right. Ulster was planted with English Protestants,
yes.
And the Catholics were at that time banished out of Ulster. So you've got three provinces that are mainly unionist,
right?
And then you've got nationalists are mainly Catholic, and one province that's mainly unionist. So
right, yeah. Because at that time, I know Catholics were persecuted against. They couldn't hold office. They couldn't vote. They had their land stripped off them.
But even Presbyterians were discriminated against. It was only Anglicans back in those days. But that was the reason, I think, or that this difference between the provinces, the Ulster province of Ulster and the people who live here, has had 400 years, and it's people. Plus, you've got the other side, the people in the south. Right.
Yeah.
If there was a referendum, they're going to have to decide: do we want 1 million unionists who want to be part of our country?
Yes, right.
Yeah. A united Ireland. So it is very complicated.
That's interesting. I mean, I listen to a lot of Irish folk songs, and to think of, you can go from "Come Out Your Black and Tans," "Come Out and Fight Me Like a Man," and then you can go to the Ulster Volunteers forces. Yeah. They're two,
that's
Like,
right.
you know, the style of the music is similar, but totally different perspectives.
That's good. That's the difficulty here.
So after that, our tour guide took us to the Northern Irish Parliament. I don't really know a whole lot about the Northern Irish Parliament or the politics, so here is another video of him explaining that.
Main sides share power, so we have nationalists and unionists. They share power, and we have two first ministers. Don't know if you know that, but in the the biggest party calls the other ones a deputy first minister just to make them feel bad, but they're both equal. So we have two first ministers. Currently, we have the first minister from one of them is from Sinn Féin, and her name is what is her name? O'Neill is her surname. Michelle O'Neill. Sorry. Michelle O'Neill, and Emma Little Pengelly, and she is the head of she is from the DUP, Democratic Unionist Party. So they share power, and then nothing gets done unless both sides agree. So nothing gets done. A lot of the time, in fact, a lot of the time, out of the last 25 years or something, we have had no parliament for 14 of those years because they keep falling out over different things. So we've 90 MLAs. I think that's about the same as you got in Wales, about 90. There used to be actually more. I think there was 108, but they reduced it to 90. But I'll tell you just one other good story about the building. So it was built in 1932. Belfast we have an aircraft company called, at the time it used to be called Short Brothers during the war, and we have the shipyard. They were building Navy ships. The aircraft company were building bombers. Sunderland bombers were built in Belfast. So we were a prime target for the Luftwaffe during the Second World War. However, well, you would think the Luftwaffe wanted to bomb those areas. You'd think this would be a pretty easy target as well. You could pick this out, lots of green grass, big white building, long. I should have mentioned, it's 365 feet wide, okay? 1 foot for every day of the year. Northern Ireland only has 6 counties, and there's 6 columns in the middle. So let's say lots of symbolism. But the Germans could pick this out pretty easy, so we decided we'd have to camouflage the building, make it disappear so they couldn't see it from the sky. So we came up with this great plan that we would not just camouflage it with nets and leaves, that we would we would cover it with plants. Grass would grow up the side of the walls, over the top and down the sides, the ends, so you couldn't see it from the sky. It would just look like the ground. So that was the plan, and it worked very well. Now you had to get the grass to stick. How's it going to stick to the side of the wall? So apparently they come up with this mixture of cow manure and bitumen, and the bitumen made the cow manure stick, and it worked a treat. And you can see online, you can see evidence of the building covered in grass. So it worked, and the Germans didn't find it, didn't bomb it. But there was a problem when the war was over. How do you get it off? It took 7 years to clean it off. And you can see there's still lines on it where they obviously maybe run out of maybe the steam cleaners or the pressure hoses broke down. Anyway, it wasn't completely cleaned off. So I like to tell people, the Germans, so they were flying over the building looking for Stormont, or looking for Parliament buildings, and they had the radio back to base, and they said, we can't find it, but we think we can smell it.
And so after that, we were dropped back into Belfast city centre, and I decided to make my way back to where the university place was, because I found out right by the university there was a botanical gardens area. Right over the botanical gardens, there was actually an Ulster museum. Now this museum was probably one of the best museums I've ever seen. It had about 5-6 floors, and ultimately there was ones of like fossil fuels, there was ones of like there was ones of like fossils and dinosaurs and things like that, and really interesting stuff. But I went for the meat and potatoes of the trip, that what I think anyway, and that was the Troubles. So I basically just going through loads of different bits and pieces which I took photos of. Some really solid information there. But yeah, ultimately these were historic posters. Mainly this one really caught my eye. and it's this soldier could be standing beside you, watch what you say. Now, I've heard like countless stories and instances, even of people that I know that are originally from Northern Ireland, when if you walk into a pub and they ask you whether you're Catholic or Protestant, you have to say, sorry mate, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying, you know, just for your safety. I doubt it's like that now. I don't know, it could be, it very much could be, but I didn't really get that sense. I didn't really get that off people, really. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a sad situation ultimately, because if you really think about it, I really don't think Ireland will be united, as I said, because you have, of course, we cannot ignore the religious divide. But as the tour guide said quite clearly, he is convinced that it isn't a religious conflict. It is ultimately it comes down to your allegiance to Britain. I think perhaps the religious conflict is perhaps a symptom of the root cause of the issue, which is ultimately people's allegiances to Britain, which is probably a good idea for me to explain now, because this originates back from the 1600s, to when King James I of England launched the plantation of Ulster, and stripped land off Irish Catholics and gave it to English Anglicans and Scottish Presbyterians. And this basically displaced the native Irish Catholic population. And then 1600s till now, it's created harsh division within Northern Ireland and the rest of Ireland. Now, an interesting note, I will say, is when I was by the Queen's University of Belfast, there is of course, there's 4 provinces of Ireland, and the where I was in Ulster, this province is represented by a bloody right hand. Now, I've always found this pretty fascinating, but why they have, and you will also see on the Northern Irish flag, with the different variations of flags, they will have a bloody right hand. Why is that? It is because it's a bit of a, I don't know if it's a myth or a bit of a legend, but it's a great story about 2 kings that are sailing to claim Ulster. Now, the one king sees the other king getting very, very close to the island of Ulster, to Ulster, to claim Ulster. And so the king sees this, gets his sword or whatever, slices off his right hand, grabs his right hand with his left hand, and absolutely just belts it onto the land of Ulster and claims it for himself. And that's where the right hand of Ulster comes from. Is that true? I mean, it could be not, I don't know, but that's what I've been told. So that's it's a pretty badass story, if you ask me. It's pretty interesting. So yeah, so as I was walking, so I came from the university, came from the museum. I walked back to the city centre, but on my way back to the city centre, I saw a Northern Irish flag fly in, and I thought it was beautiful. So I just took a video of it, and I just saw a particular street with Union Jacks and Northern Irish flags. So I thought it would be, you know, a good like background video. I'm on my way there, and I turn right, and I come across this lovely lady, and I just strike up a conversation with her, and I ask her about what life was like, what life is like in Northern Ireland, and here's how that went. Life like, is it good?
Aye, all right.
It's all right. Is this, was this a place where the Troubles were going on, like?
Aye, yeah.
Do you remember them?
No, I was young.
You were young?
Aye.
So I see the British flags, like, you know.
Yeah.
Right, I went to the Peace War today, so
Did you?
I saw national flags, like Irish flags.
Yeah.
As well. So there's still. I got a question. So do you know where the Peace Wall is? Is that it's within Northern Ireland, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not the border of North and South Ireland, is it?
No, it's in Belfast.
So
Belfast itself.
So there is a segregated part of Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Basically, that's mad. That is.
So when you walk over that, used to be they're taking the bridge down.
Yeah.
So when you walk over there, it's Catholic side, and here's Protestant.
So this is the Protestant side,
yeah.
and I walk over there, it's Catholic.
Over the bridge.
Over the bridge over
the
here.
bridge is closed.
Right.
Because they're not the bridge there to make it bigger.
Yeah.
Well, when you go around to the bus station or the old bus station,
Yeah.
that's Catholic side of
So
the church.
I'll go through the bus station here, is it? And then
Yeah.
I'll see national flags, like, is it?
Yeah, well, you'll have to walk up to Grafner a bit.
Yeah. But I won't get any
So,
trouble, like, or I wouldn't get any trouble, like,
No, no.
unless I say something like
Aye.
that's what they say. That's what happens, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Wales, I am. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've only been here 2 days, like, so okay, we come on the ferry, like.
Right. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We were over there 2 years ago at the football with the kids.
Oh, is it? What kind?
Alright, like.
Yeah. I got Irish in me, see, so I'm Donegan.
Alright.
Yeah, Southern, so I'm spending most of my time in South, so
Yeah.
but sorry, no, North, I mean. I'm spending
Yeah.
3 days here, and then I'm going to Dublin Thursday. So I think going
Train down.
on Friday. I'm a coach trip, I am, so
Oh, are you?
yeah.
That's not bad.
Have you got any stories like that your parents have told you, like you've passed down from generations?
No, because I didn't come from here.
Oh, right, okay.
I came from the Catholic side.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
did.
Yeah.
I met a fella from here and I moved here about 39 years.
And you haven't had any issues moving here as a Catholic? No?
I moved down here when the troubles were going on. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
when there was trouble, like.
Yeah. But you never had an
I
issue?
loved it, no.
No? That's
All
good.
brilliant for me down here.
Yeah.
So they are.
It's unbelievable. But
It's a good community, like.
it's a good community, yeah?
Everybody looks after each other, like.
It's like on the valleys. It's like on the valleys.
Aye.
Yeah. We all know each other, like.
You have to look after everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But also, the Welsh are quite nosy, I reckon, as well. So we're probably
sure,
quite,
that's it.
we're all similar. We all want to know each other's business, like, do you know what I mean?
That's it. Everybody's just. It's a nice place, like.
That's good. Yeah. So, but that is fascinating. That I thought, when I researched the peace wall, I thought that was the border, like.
No.
That is a.
It's like a thing.
That's a
Protestants and Catholics.
That's a segregated area in Northern Ireland.
Yeah. So Catholics and Protestants used to fight and used to things, so they put them big walls up and stuff.
I can sort of gather what I can remember, what I talked to that lady about is that it's quite a tightly knit community where she lives. And also she mentioned that she came from a Catholic background and now lives in Protestant area. She was too young personally to experience the troubles. But yeah, so I'm guessing her parents would have experienced the troubles too. So, but ultimately that was an interesting interaction. The next day then, I went to right at the top of Northern Ireland. I went to Giant's Causeway. This was a great experience, and basically I'm just going to get the story out the way. And I'm very, very bad at telling this story because I don't really know a whole lot about it. Okay, so the Giant's Causeway myth tells of Irish giant Finn McCool building a stone pathway to Scotland to challenge rival giant Benandonna. Upon seeing Benandonna's size, Finn hid or was disguised as a baby by his wife, Unag. If I pronounce that right, I probably butchered that. I do apologise. Thinking Finn must be even larger, Benandonna fled, destroying parts of the causeway, linking it to similar formations in Scotland. That's an interesting story, I must say. But nonetheless, we had a great time seeing the natural rock formations and the natural, like the beauty of the coastline well, it was Giant's Causeway, but it's part of I believe it's in County Antrim, so it's along. It's probably part of the Antrim coast, but this was right at the top of Northern Ireland, and yeah, so we saw those beautiful rock formations, and it was quite a long walk, and I met people probably from all over the world there. Spoke to a couple from the US, Canada. People, loads of people from Canada for some reason, and loads of Americans. There was people from South America there. There was people from Asia there, all over the world. So pretty interesting. I'm trying to figure out things to say. I mean, I'm going to put pictures on the screen, of course. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say. But really beautiful. landscape, coastline, really breathtaking. And so on our way back there, well, it wasn't on our way back, but after our time there, the coach took us to a part of the Giant's Causeway coastal route, and that was Port and Navy, where it looks like anyway. There was a portion of this coastline in which we could actually see Scotland. I had to zoom in quite a bit, but I think I pointed my finger over there, and I could, we could literally see we could actually see a little bit of Scotland and another island off the coast of, but we could see a bit of Scotland and an island off the coast of Ireland. So pretty interesting as well. So, and then after that, we went back to Belfast city, and we went into a few local cathedrals. St. Anne's Cathedral was very beautiful. And then we went into a local Catholic cathedral, very beautiful too. Saw a statue of St. Paddy, so that was good. And then we went into the Duke of York pub, and this was probably the most iconic before, I think, the Temple Bar, because we went to Dublin a few days after. But at that time, that was probably the most iconic Irish pub I think I've ever seen. Having a pint in there was a really cool experience. And then, so that was our last day, I guess, in Belfast. We made our way down then to Dublin. We only had 2 hours in Dublin because we were back on our way home. But I wish I could have said more about Dublin and the history of that place, a little bit of history of that place. But it's just one of those things. But we had a pint, we had a cheeky Guinness in the Temple Bar. Had one of those iconic photos in there. And then on our way home, then we made our way to Waterford, which is a seaside town. I'm not sure if it's a town or a city. It might be a city. So a very nice Jesus statue with an Irish flag behind it. And then you already know it, another pint, and then before you know it, we are back on the ferry on our way home. So to conclude this trip, what can I ultimately say? My biggest thing about traveling, I would say, in general, is the cultural exchanges I make with people along the way. And I had some great conversations with people all across the world, and it's so funny how I think traveling really opens doors to things and new experiences. But I'm very, very glad I have done Ireland now. But I will say I will come back one day, and I will come back to do a bit of Seven Islands, because my father's family and my surname originates from Cork. So I'm guessing that's I believe that's the province of Leinster, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's either Munster or Leinster. You've got the 4 provinces, Leinster, Munster, Connaught, and Ulster. So, and then you've got 32 counties, and 6 counties in the north. So, yeah, I know a little bit about Ireland, but the history of Ireland is a fascinating one. It's a very nuanced one, particularly with the situation in the north. It's funny. I was talking to my uncle before making this, and he said, "What do you prefer, north or south?" And I have to say, well, my family's from the south, so I just have to say the south. But I had some great experiences in the north. But yeah, as I talk to people, we'll have general conversations with people talking about Northern Ireland. There are some scars, definitely, from the Troubles, and I've heard that there's a fella in my church that's been to Ireland. He can count on 2 hands how many times he's been there, and he says, when you go into Southern Ireland, everything's a lot more calmer. But I can definitely sense that there are scars still in Northern Ireland, and to think about how that peace wall, it's funny. It's not funny. It's mad to think how, when we think after World War II and the Berlin Wall, how long that took to take down. And there's a segregated wall, a massive segregating wall still up in Northern Ireland. The current government wants to take it down, but the people don't want it down because it makes them feel safe in their community, because then, you know, there is literally no risk of petrol bombs being thrown at them, and bricks and all sorts of stuff. So you can understand from the families who live there, for example. But I did see a portion of the area where the walls literally back up to people's houses and they don't get no sunlight in their garden. I just think that's mad. And to think that wasn't the original wall. The original wall was concrete, and it was I don't know exactly how high it was, but it has twice been made bigger because of how violent the situation became. So. But yeah, I was honoured to be able to write a little message on the wall, and it's a bit of a tradition to do that. So, but yeah, great experience. Can't wait to go again. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling in this video. Hope you like the Guinness T-shirt. I did have a few Guinness there, so that is something you got to do when you go to Ireland. I will say, you know. I had that Guinness in the Temple Bar, and I would say I'm not really a drinker anyway, but I tell you something, I had a big headache after that beer, after that Guinness. So maybe I'm not used to it, or maybe the Guinness is really stronger in Ireland, but who knows. Thank you very much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Take care. Peace out.